are joined by Audacy NFL insider Brian Baldinger, host of the Audacy original podcast In the Huddle, with Jason Lockenfor and Carl Dukes covering the entire NFL. Baldy, how are you, sir?
Well, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I'm doing fantastic. I'm in a good spot, and life is good, so it's good to be with you guys.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you as well. Now, earlier we were having a conversation because Gronk was kind of taking some shots at Micah for talking about other teams. And I wonder, in your opinion, because I know your affinity for Micah, and we love him as well, but is he an untouchable type of player? Is there any circumstance in which, if you're an owner of a team, you would trade Micah Parsons?
Hell no. Never. No. I would lock him up for as long as I can lock him up. I wouldn't let that guy go. You can't. That guy is in maybe a draft every 7, 8, 10 years. No, I wouldn't let that guy go. He's the most valuable guy on the team.
Agreed.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's funny we were talking because, Baldy, we were thinking about all the things. We're play a game with us here, though. What kind of haul could you get for a guy like that? Could you fix your quarterback situation? Could you fix your tackle situation? Could you fix your linebacker? I guess the linebacker.
Yeah,
he's the linebacker.
You're losing one.
But like, what kind of haul could you get? Is it something that could, because the Cowboys, the way they currently are right now, 11, 12 win team, right? Good team?
They're a good team right now. I mean, they need linebackers. I think that's a real sore spot right now, just looking at the changes they made last week.
Sure.
Going against the Dolphins. But, I mean, if you asked Bill Parcells in 1983, hey, we got to fix this team. You want to trade LT? He'd, look at you like you were, from the loony bin.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's ways to fix your team. But you don't do it at the expense of losing your most valuable commodity.
Right.
And a guy that can change the game on any given play. And I don't know where the pass rush is without him, to be honest with you. I don't see anybody else getting to the quarterback. It's basically a one-man band. I mean, you look around the league and you look at different teams, they got at least 2 guys, sometimes 3, depending where you're looking right now, at guys that can get to the quarterback. But I don't see anybody else in Dallas winning one-on-ones right now.
Well, Baldy, you mentioned the loss in Miami. What were your thoughts? It seemed like the Cowboys had certainly an opportunity to win it. Might have let one get away there.
I thought it was disappointing, to see Miami go 10 plays, 66 yards, and kick the field goal like that. I mean, they made it look way too easy. And I thought the Cowboys made it easy on them. I didn't think they challenged the receivers near enough. They lost Gilmore for a play.
Yeah.
Wright came in. He gave them a 5-yard – he's 10 yards off the ball. You could tell that Tua wasn't in any way going to hold the ball longer than 2 seconds.
Right. So
when that happens, you're not worried about the home run ball at that point. You just, challenge every single throw. I'm not here to second-guess Dan Quinn. He's obviously, a great coach. But I just thought they should have challenged him a lot more, especially with Kendall Lamb at right tackle.
Sure.
And some of the guys that were on that line. I would have challenged them a lot more on that final drive than what they did.
Yeah, Baldy, a lot was made about what happened with, when you're watching the tape, the shots or the lack of, do you feel like that, what was Dak? And you're really good at breaking all this stuff down when it's defensive stuff. Did they do anything different to him once they kind of figured out, okay, CeeDee's not going to kill us in this game? Did you see anything that caused Dak to pull some balls down, and or was it really the lack of the offensive line or the confidence it maybe had in the left tackle spot?
Yeah, well, I don't think he had much confidence in the left tackle spot.
Yeah.
So I think that was an issue. Obviously, he got hit early, and I think he wanted to pull the trigger to CD a couple of times, and he's busy navigating the pocket and probably not locating him, because he was open a bunch in the game, obviously,
Yeah.
But I think he wanted to go to him a little bit more than they did. And then, they didn't run the ball particularly well. And it was just disappointing to see Pollard on a pitch, the opening drive. You got to score there.
Yeah.
He's I don't care what back you are. You got to score. And then to see Lupke just, I don't know what he was doing. The ball's right in his belly. It's a good handoff. I don't know if Dak I'm not listening to the shows down there, guys, but
yeah.
He doesn't even look like he's expecting the ball,
Yeah.
The play's for him. And so, to come away with nothing right there. And look, that didn't lose the game for him. They had other opportunities. Obviously, CD makes it go. and they lined them up in the backfield. They ran them on reverses. They got the ball to them, especially in that first quarter. And I think they wanted to keep going to them. The protection issues just, kept showing up, time and time again.
Baldy, do you think there's, with the road woes, they're having a little bit a lack of attention to detail? Is that something that we can point fingers at a little bit?
Look, Tyron was playing at a very high level. There was just a big drop off. I thought Miami's defensive line won that game, won the line of scrimmage. Yeah. And that's disappointing. Is that lack of detail? Is that attention to detail? I don't know. They didn't dominate the line of scrimmage the way I think they're capable of.
Sure.
To see Sealer and Chubb and Wilkins have the success they had, it starts up front. And, I thought that they lost that battle in that game.
It looked like to me, Baldy, in protection, you mentioned that they didn't handle the blitz game very well. And it seems odd in week 16 that you would have trouble with blitz pickup things. That's not all left tackle though, right?
No,
I know he had a couple of issues, but
yeah, he did.
But they struggled. It seemed like hots were a problem in this game.
Well, I'm not sure, if teams even believe in hots anymore.
Yeah,
I see these quarterbacks on the blitz that you're talking about.
Sure.
And you get these weak side blitzes. Okay, it's an overload blitz. All right, what's your side adjust? What's your hot read? I'm watching Philly the other day.
Right.
And they don't have any answer to it. And then I see the same thing in Dallas, and I'm going, it used to be automatic.
Automatic.
It's automatic. Okay, this is our answer to your overloads right here. We're going to cut your route off, and here's the throw, and hit the void. And I see this league wide. It feels like it's an epidemic. And if a quarterback, it always falls on the quarterback, but if the quarterback doesn't have an answer to your riddle, whose fault is that?
Right.
And I see it around the league right now.
Yeah, that's why I asked you the attention to detail question, because to me, I'm the same way. I mean, I never played in the NFL, but I was in the NFL long enough to know that when somebody came weak side, and I understand what Steele did. I understand Steele blocks down. He takes first threat, and now the quarterback's responsible, and Cooks is looking for the ball. And Dak's looking at him like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to throw you the ball here for 5 yards?
It looks obvious to us.
Yeah.
It looks obvious to us, and that's where it's got to go.
Right.
This is – and sometimes, defenses will do that to set a trap.
Trap,
we know you're going to throw a hot, and then we're going to tackle the hot, and you're not going to get the first down. Right. But at least it saves a negative play.
Right.
You still got to make the tackle, and there are other options besides just a hot, but it's good to have that option,
right.
These situations.
It's Brian Baldinger, Audacy NFL insider, with us here in the GBag Nation. We talk about the offensive line struggle, and clearly not having Tyron is huge. The Cowboys seem to have committed Tyler Smith as a left guard. We're going to leave him at guard because that's a topic we've talked about. If Tyron's not available, should you kick Tyler out to left tackle and then slide maybe a TJ Bass in at left guard? Do you think that's the smart move? Just leave Tyler at left guard, let him work?
I know they did this last year with him back and forth. I trust Tyler Smith at left tackle over, Adoga any day, every day. Especially if these games are so magnified right now that, Bass looked, he looked fine, when Zach had to come out of the game a couple weeks ago. I want my best five in there, and I know Tyler can play out there. Yes, I know he's probably been guilty of, too many penalties at times, and maybe it gets a little too aggressive at times, but I feel like he can win out there against Bradley Chubb is not a great pass rusher. He's got good stats this year because of breakdowns and stuff, but I feel like Tyler could line up and handle Tyler Smith. I think if Aiden Hutchinson's out there this week or whoever else they might put out there, I trust him to win and be able to hold up.
Baldy, just some thoughts about the Detroit Lions, and I know you do a great job of studying the entire league, but some thoughts about the Lions, Dan Campbell, what they're doing offensively, anything you want to throw out there about what you kind of feel like the matchup's going to be this weekend?
Well, you look at their 1-2 punch in the run game. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, they're as good as anybody in the league.
Yeah.
Montgomery, the reason why Dan signed him is because, he watched him when he was in Detroit and Chicago just break one tackle after another. He's very, very physical, and he runs through contact. And then Gibbs is just like this home run hitting ability. That's a great – and their line is as good as anybody's. And so they've had their injuries. Ragnell's been in and out. But, you look at Penei Sewell, whoever's got to line up in front of that guy, there's not many people that can move bodies the way he does.
Yeah.
And then if you look at what Ben Johnson does and the way they get the running game cranked up, they do a lot. And this Sam Laporta is a really good player. They do a lot with their tight ends in the run game, but Laporta is a really good receiver. So they've got flexibility, and then really it comes down to, honestly, if Jared Goff doesn't turn the ball over, that team's going to score 30 points.
Yeah.
They're just that good. But if they turn it over like they did against Green Bay and against Chicago, you get 10 possessions in a game, you're turning over 4 times, you're not scoring 30 points. And so that's kind of where it's at right now with them.
Jimmy Johnson's going to be inducted into the Ring of Honor at halftime on Saturday against the Lions. I believe you were with the Eagles during Jimmy's time with the Cowboys and starting that Super Bowl era. Do you have any memories playing against those Jimmy Johnson Cowboys, or have you had any run-ins with Jimmy Johnson post-playing career?
I remember in '92, the year the Cowboys won their first Super Bowl with Jimmy. We were playing them in Philly on a Monday night. We were both undefeated. I was with the Eagles then. We were both 3-0. We're playing a Monday night game at the Vet, and the whole city is lit, and it's a huge game league wide. And I remember Jim McMahon was our backup quarterback, and his son's Sean's 10th birthday.
Yeah,
and he bought him a remote control truck. So Jimmy, all Jim McMahon wanted to do was have fun. So he takes the remote control truck down on the field before the game, pregame, and he just he guided the truck to attack Jimmy Johnson, who was pacing the field down at the Vet. Like the hair is frozen, and the look is just like he's just going up and down. And Jim McMahon's on this bench, and we're all down there just cracking up. And it's like a dog. We're sicking a dog at Jimmy Johnson, and he doesn't know where it's coming from or who's doing it. And he's kicking it, and it's frustrating him, and we can't be laughing any harder. And then we knocked Stepnowski out of the game on an interception, and we just destroyed them that night. And, of course, they destroyed us in a playoff game in January when it really counted. But I just remember, breaking Jimmy Johnson's concentration down in the field, and, this Ring of Honor, obviously it's taken way too long. We still haven't seen a guy turn a franchise around the way Jimmy Johnson did, from 89 to, 95 or 94, whatever it was.
Baldy, I'm going to test you again on your knowledge of the league, which I think is so impressive. Who do you not want to play right now, the Rams or the Buccaneers?
That's a great question, Coach. Honestly, the Rams. The Rams went to Baltimore. We just saw what Baltimore did to San Francisco.
Yeah,
the Rams went there.
Yeah.
And they put up 31. They lost in overtime on a punt return for a touchdown.
Right.
But, the riddle that the Ravens matchup zone defense is, it didn't fool Matt Stafford in this Rams offense right now. Kyron Williams is as good as any back in this league right now. He leads the league right now in yards per game. And so they're cooking right now. The Tampa, look, Baker's playing great football. They won 4 in a row. But I feel like the Rams are more dangerous. They play San Francisco week 18.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a playoff game all by itself.
What'd you think of that Ravens-49ers matchup with the Ravens just beating down San Francisco?
Well, this defense that the Ravens play, it's a conundrum. They play this matchup zone, and it's just exactly that. It's zone, all 11 eyes. You can run all the pre-snap motions and shifts and formations.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything. They don't even blink. They got 11 eyes on the quarterback, and then you come into their zone, they match you up, they spot drop, and they're so good at it. They don't get fooled. Their safeties are playing deep. You can't get it over their heads. And then they got speed at linebacker to clean up any mess. And then, by the way, they lead the league in sacks. So they've got everything going for them. Now, they lost Kyle Hamilton, which is a big loss. We'll see how that plays out. Geno Stone has played well at safety this year. So, but they're very well coached. Mike McDonald he's the defensive genius out there right now. I would imagine every team in this league that's looking for a coaching change, we always think offense. I would want that defense that the Ravens are playing.
Is that the best defense to play against anything that's going in the league right now? I mean, you talk about the match. We're all trying to find ways to stop McVay and Shanahan and all these guys, and you need to find a defense. I think these defensive coordinators are catching up with some of these offensive coaches, though.
Well, it's interesting because obviously Miami plays in Baltimore this weekend, and Miami does a lot of the things that the 49ers do.
Right.
Same system. And it'll be interesting to see if Mike McDaniel, this would be a great, study. I don't know if he would reveal it, but after the game, how much did he learn from the 49ers' problems against his defense, and what did he instill or install to try to counter it? And I'm anxious to kind of watch that game and study that game to see if he gleaned anything from the 49ers' problems.
Baldy, my final question again, it's about the Ravens. Is there a more disciplined team on defense? And you mentioned the eyes and on the quarterback. Is there a more disciplined defensive team in the league?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, like Cleveland is very disciplined, but they're a completely different defense. They're a heavy, strong man-to-man defense with a really powerful front. So they marry their coverage and their pressure. But the way that the Ravens play, you have to be disciplined in your drops and when when you match up and where you get to, and understanding route combinations and everything that they do. I think they do a lot in their film study. And then how they, even the second interception last week, they had a double corner cat blitz on with the safeties just sitting on the top, and that's when the ball got batted down by Brandon Stevens and Marlon Humphrey intercepted it. But you don't see many double. Maybe Kansas City might do a double corner cat like that, but there are a lot of teams that are afraid to do that, against that offense to do that.
I'll tell you what, I was impressed with Jim Schwartz has done at Cleveland. I watched that tape against San Francisco when he's playing with a robber, like down the middle, and he's taking away all the crossers and stuff. I'm thinking, man, these son of a guns are brilliant when it comes to defending these guys.
Well, they weren't afraid to play those, Debo and Ayuk and them in man coverage across the field. A lot of teams are afraid to do that. And then that's where they want to attack. They want to attack the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And so you rob them of that middle of the field. The quarterback all of a sudden is holding on to that ball a little bit longer than he wants to.
Yeah.
Baldy, I know it's still early in the week, but are you picking the Cowboys to beat the Lions?
I feel like this game is going to be in the 30s. Like, I think both offenses are going to have a lot of success. And honestly, if the Cowboys, they live off turnovers when they're really rolling at home. It'll be interesting to see if they can get Goff to, throw one or two up or put one or two on the carpet. If that happens, then I think the Cowboys can win this game. But if they don't, I think this thing is going to be a lot like last week.
Yeah.
Who has the ball last?
Sure.
And can you stop a team from going down the field to go kick the winning field goal or touchdown?
You're the best, man. Thank you so much for jumping on with us. Have a happy New Year. Enjoy it.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy that game Saturday night. I'll talk to you next week.